Good afternoon. Welcome to Portal Intel here on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Got a great show. Got me, got Justin talking about the transfer portal yet again. We started today with that as the topic of conversation over on IT Live. We're talking about it again here on Inside Texas. Speaking of Inside Texas, go to that first link in our description. Use that QR code. It's the transfer portal, not the transfer portal. But use that QR code, 50% off an annual subscription. Get the best of Inside Texas, of On3, and of Rivals for half off the annual price. Looking forward to seeing everybody over there. And Justin, it's a lot of different things going on today with the transfer portal. Our guy Joshy Manning, Esquire.
Joshy, that's my boy.
I assume this chat will be very tame, and we will not overreact to anything at all. Yeah, just
hell of an assumption.
Just a little, casual day. We'll go. Let's jump into it. Cam Coleman, Auburn wide receiver, is announced his intentions to enter the transfer portal. I didn't know this. The top portal player was a defensive end from Penn State, and then Sam Leavitt. Well, I think the top portal player just became Cam Coleman.
Yes, this is the this is going to be fun while it lasts. So this was not unexpected. This was the worst kept secret in college football portal information. Cam Coleman was always going to hit the portal, and he's looking to cash a pretty big lottery ticket. Look, Cam Coleman's going to play on Sundays, and he's going to play for a while. He is a dynamic talent that was wasted on the Plains. I mean, literally wasted on the Plains. And just understand, yes, Texas would like to have Cam Coleman, and so would about 100 other Division I schools that may have the cash to jump into that. Like McDuck diving into that bucket of gold, that warehouse of gold. That's what Cam Coleman's going to do. And so just understand, yes, Texas has interest. So do a lot of other schools. The price is going to probably continue to go up. This is a ready-made guy. He comes in, starts immediately at any program in the country. That being said, hold on to the rails, guys, because this one's going to have this is going to be a bumpy ride. But just understand that your Texas Longhorns love this kid, and they would absolutely love to have him in the program, but it's got to be at the right price. It's got to be at the right allocation of resources at that position. A lot of things got to line up. So just hold on loosely.
And I got to bring this up from Dave. Eric said in the last video that Cam Coleman wasn't going to go into the portal. I don't believe that's what he said, because I was sitting here listening to him myself. Said he didn't expect him to, because Cam Coleman seemed pretty pleased in Auburn. Obviously, I think one thing we've been very much reiterating anytime we're talking about the portal is that things can change very, very quickly. I think the production is obviously been capped by having Peyton Thorne and also who's the other one, Jackson Arnold. So you look at 2 seasons, 1,300 yards, better quarterback play would get him some better opportunities. And Joshy, and I think even I went to the Auburn website, Auburn Sports. Justin Hawkinson had said there was a multi-million-dollar offer in front of Cam Coleman already from Auburn, and that was just, you can see how quickly all this changes. Justin, we do know that he was committed to Texas A&M for a good while. Texas is interested as well.
A&M is really interested, Joe.
Do you have any idea?
Like they're going to throw a bag.
Do you have any idea of the other schools that could be? I know it's really early. This popped up an hour ago, but who else may be involved in this?
The only schools I've heard are Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, USC, LSU. I have not heard Miami. We need to catch up with our boy Steven Wagner over there. He'll have something on that. LSU. I have a feeling is going to get into it because they that would actually be a really good fit if they get the right quarterback play there, and I could see Kiffin kind of selling that as well. Just be prepared, man. There's going to be everyone stepping up to this. But again, we can make this Horn centric. Texas would love to have this guy. Arch Manning would love to have this guy. Again, this is going to be a bidding war. That's what this is going to turn into. And we're going to see this every cycle. There's going to be a few of these guys at the very upper echelon that they're going to have agents that understand their worth and their value. But yes, he was committed to Texas A&M at one time, and Texas A&M is very willing to back up a Brinks truck and give him whatever he wants. And so what's crazy is the one school I haven't heard, Oregon. And no one pays receivers like Oregon does. So I haven't heard Oregon yet. If I hear about Cam Coleman going to Oregon, I may shut this whole thing down. And so at this stage, let's just have some fun with it. Let's speculate wildly, and let's make sure we check in on our sources on a regular basis.
Sailor Joe has a couple good questions. How much is he going to want, though? Is it worth it, or are people starstruck? It's worth it, and people are starstruck. Like, if it weren't for Jeremiah Smith, everybody would be knowing who Cam Coleman is, and they already know who he is anyway. And like I said, I went to the Auburn website, Auburn Sports, and I think they said there was like a $2 million, multi-million-dollar offer already in front of Coleman. Then he said, you know what? And then people act as if he's coming to Texas, like it's a done deal. If they're acting like that, they're way off. This is this is one of those things where you learn about intentions to enter the portal and that type of that, and then you got to see who else shows up, and then you got to see the dynamics from that. Right now, it's still just all agent and back channeling. The front channeling is going to really determine a lot of different things.
I've heard $2 million is the starting point, brother. That's a lot of money, especially in the college game, where some of your top offensive linemen in the country are in that 900 to 150 range. You got a wide receiver I think you may have to start at $2 million with that guy, and I think he can get it. And so that's the fun part of the portal. You're going to have some of these guys that are just absolute superstars that it's funny. We talk up Cam Coleman, and then Ryan Williams is another guy that people mention a lot, that they're curious what's going to happen with him in Alabama after having kind of a down year. You got to be careful how much you sink cash-wise into that position, because if it doesn't pay off in that immediate year, you wind up paying for it 2 or 3 cycles after that, because it's going to cost you a couple of recruits. It's going to cost you a starter in your lineup, and it's probably going to cost you a little bit of depth. So you got to see both sides of it. Do I think Cam Coleman would be a great addition? Absolutely. But just pay attention to all the collateral damage that could come and go. Every player has their mark, man, and Cam Coleman's going to be a lot of fun to figure out where he's going to wind up going, because it doesn't look like he's going to stay in Auburn.
Before we keep going, got to show some Roback. If you use the promo code TX20 at roback.com, gets you 20% off for all new customers. Obviously, the hoodie, I got it on, joggers, shirts, collared shirts, anything you might need, Texas or non-Texas, you can get it at Roback. TX20 gets you 20% off for all new customers. So go check it out, RHOBACK.com. Looking at a few different things. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's obviously a fan lens when it's like, Marcel Reed, he stinks. And I agree to an extent that Marcel Reed, when facing quality defenses, of which he didn't have a ton of reps against, very up and down. But money's green. Cam Coleman went to Auburn knowing Peyton Thorne and came back with Jackson Arnold as his quarterback. And granted, what we knew about Jackson Arnold then is still the same as what we know about Jackson Arnold now, maybe even worse. But
Amen.
It's not always about the best on-field fit, but I do think there are some really good things being said. Kay Sankey brings us in. Couldn't imagine, and this is a lot of hypothetical, but we're talking about it. Couldn't imagine Coleman, Wingo, Ball, and Arch on the offense. $1 million is cool, but he may be a top 15 pick after a year with Arch. And I think that's probably the rationale behind Coleman finally jumping in the portal. He's like, I need to get a better player to throw me the ball.
No, that's exactly what it is. I mean, Cam Coleman's going to play in the NFL regardless of what happens at Auburn or what happens at his next school. Where he gets drafted, very important. Very, very important. Cam needs to put in he needs a great year if he wants to go in the first round. He's a first round talent. I think in 2 years he would be that, but he still needs to we need to see some more of that production. We've seen the potential. We've seen the flashes. We want to see it like on a consistent basis. And you can blame Auburn for a lot of that. You can blame the offense for a lot of that. This lineup right here, buddy, I mean, that's – oh, my goodness. I'm sitting here doing the math in my head. That's a large check, Joe. Right here, right now, that's a large check. And then you start there's only one ball on offense. Like, how are you going to spread the wealth on something like that? That would be an amazing problem to have, and I think Sark would love to have that issue. I don't necessarily see that in the works, but you know what? Let's speculate wildly.
Yeah, I completely understand that. If Coleman's demanding $2 million, would Texas be willing to do it? Again, we will find out. They're already.
I won't say too much. Yes,
it's going to be something to track. This is a quick little thing to just do one little bowl discussion because I like this one. Whereas I guess that's Jamie French. I like the PF. Somebody's from Pflugerville. When it comes to development, this has been a good couple weeks for him.
It's been a great couple of weeks. Our Evan Veith has been out there in Orlando. He's been out at practice. Look, Jamie was a guy that we were a little worried about could potentially enter the portal at the end of the season. I think he had a talk with Coach Sark, with Coach Jackson. He kind of got everything lined up and realized he just needed to go back to work and get better. And that's what a lot of these freshmen had to understand. I think Khalid Lockett was very similar. That kid has a ton of upside, and you want him in the program, and you want those guys to get developed because they're going to turn into really good players. I'm glad French stayed in the mix. I think that's part. I think he's part of a really good recruiting cycle a year and a half ago. I think all three of those guys can be major contributors down the line. Dalen McCutcheon already got some run, and from what I understand, French wants to work. He wants to go back to work, get ready for this spring, and try to earn some potential rotation snaps next fall. And so I love that. Listen, Jamie French was kind of like your typical kid, big time freshman that winds up hitting the portal, not playing early. He said, forget the narrative. He changed it himself, and I respect Jamie a ton for that. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go back to work. I got to get better, and that's exactly what's happening with Jamie French. Like I said, our boy Evan Veith has been out there in Orlando. Please follow him at Inside Texas. He is killing it with content out there. Mr. Beef is always on the beat.
Another good thing that brings up, got to keep Gooseby and Jelani, got checks to write. Eric, we and I
Jelani's is good. The other one is the one they're working on.
Right. But the thing is, it is going to be always more, or maybe not always. Most of the time, it's going to be more cost efficient to retain guys you have than enter into conversations for other players not on your roster. And granted, there is an aspect where it's like, okay, well, is that player on your roster good, or is the cost to go get him worth it? With Jelani and with Trevor Gooseby, I think that the cost is worth it, because then if not, you're getting into a left tackle market, and that's always going to be pretty dicey because everybody's trying to protect their quarterback. Exactly. But I think that for a lot of these guys, you want to invest not only in the time you have, but in what you have. If you believe that it's actually good enough to help you get over not just a hump, but get to where you want to be.
Hey, one source told me the other day, Trevor Gooseby is the number one priority. He has to be. I mean, you saw what the offensive line looked like for the first 2 months last season. Now, that last 5 games, the offensive line was clicking. They go 11 personnel. They mix and match a little bit. Cole Hudson, left guard. All of a sudden, Brandon Baker's getting better. All of a sudden, that line looked a lot better at the end of the season than it did at the beginning of the year. But it started to stop with left tackle and Trevor Gooseby. And he's not only really important on that football field, he's important off the field. He is super close to Arch. He is super connected to that locker room. He has a ton of respect from those players and teammates. Jelani is the same way as well. And so you want to retain those guys, Joe. Sometimes it's at a premium. Sometimes a player may have a bad year or a down year, and you may be able to get a discount or something like that. But when you got a guy coming off an all-SEC first-team left tackle, spot, like it's pretty tough. Keep your boys. It's like Leona LaFau is the perfect example to me. Like BYU did exactly what they needed to do. They gave him a generous offer. It allows him to be closer to home. I get it. But you know what Texas needs now in the portal? A Leona LaFau. So you got to go find the same thing you already had, that you had developed, that you had a 2-year starter with. That's going to happen, I think, a little bit every cycle. It can't happen a lot. You're right. You've got to retain these guys, and sometimes the price may be a little bit more than maybe somebody's comfortable with, but you can't overthink it. And if Texas is all in 2026, and I fully believe they are, they're going to get these things wrapped up.
Big Pope, this roster has a lot of holes to fill, like cornerback, linebacker, defensive tackle. Corner, I'm going to disagree with.
Yeah, they look good at corner.
They will probably need some safety help.
Yes.
I don't think they could go to corner, but I don't think that's like a hole on the roster.
Right. I think they could add depth, but I like what they have coming back.
So it's a little
linebacker, huge hole, massive crater size hole that we're really going to see against Michigan. Like we're going to see a team. What is there a defense without linebackers? Can we do like a 6'5" or something? Like it's going to be crazy how Johnny Nansen puts those together. Defensive tackle also, understand this. They want a big nose to anchor the middle, okay? But they love that young talent that's there. The Myron Charles, the Josiah Sharma, the Justice Terry's. Like they've got some young guys that they really like there too. And so I wouldn't say D tackle is necessarily a hole. They still have good depth there, but I will give you linebacker.
Yeah, I think maybe that's all 3 levels essentially, except for the edge position.
Edge looks pretty good too.
And I would put running back obviously way up there. Like that's going to be
running back with the number 2 and beside it, because they're going to have to get 2 now. Because you know what would be great at running back 2? A Trey Wisner type. So now they have to go get that again.
Yeah, I agree. Also, speaking of running back 2, actually, let's get to the super chat real quick, and then we'll talk about some portal development. We heard from On3, friend Pete Nakos, but Rod Baber's helmet says, surprise breakout player next year, offense or defense.
You go first.
Can I say Ryan Wingo? I think there's too much doubt on him. I know he had his drop problems, but we also saw in the midst of those drops a lot of boom or bust, and the booms were fantastic. And I think that's a player who we saw with the ball in his hands do really well. But he's got to keep the ball in his hands. And I think he'll be able to do even more next season. What about for you? You want to take defense?
I'll take defense. My surprise breakout player next year is going to be Cade Phillips. And that's one of those that's, I could say something. I could tell you, like, I thought Wingo was fantastic the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Like, he didn't really drop any balls. Like, if anything, he was catching some awkward passes. Like Ryan played a lot better. Same point, you could say, hey, Cade Phillips got some run the last month of the season too. But I think those 2 guys are destined to break out. I'm with you on Wingo. I think Wingo could have the type of season to where we're talking about him potentially leaving early for the NFL draft. He has that type of potential. He has that type of ability. And then you got Cade Phillips, man. Let me tell you something. That dude's going to be a dog. He has the best corner mentality. He literally forgets play to play, and that is such a hard thing to teach. Not to mention he's got the versatility, he's got the quicks, he's got the twitch. I love me some Cade Phillips. I love me some Kobe Black opposite on the other side. I think Kobe played really well the last month of the season, and that's what's going to be fun for Wednesday when we get to finally watch the Horns face Michigan for the final game of this season. We're going to get to see a lot of young guys who had played relatively well the last month and a half of the season. Texas is playing their best ball of the year leading up to this. It's just going to be a big question of how many guys they actually miss.
Got a few different chats. I like this one. And then we'll get to the ad and then the running back notes. I think Texas should put the price up on Coleman and make A&M overpay so we can load up on studs on the line. I always say money's finite, and I said that this morning, but I don't think A&M is going to approach a recruitment like Cam Coleman's and be like, okay, well, time to let our offensive line go. They also understood, I think, from the get-go that a bunch of their offensive line were already graduating this year and that they could either go get immediate help or rely on development guys. I don't think it's a poker game like this comment makes it out to be. I think you get involved in that game to try to win it. That's what I'm thinking, and not to try.
Yeah. You don't do it to try to push up the stats because push up the dollars, because then what happens when they call you on it? There's a little gamesmanship there. I really do believe that, but I do think it's on a recruit to recruit basis.
Vivek, Texas, how are you going to get 4 good offensive linemen? Seems impractical. Already have one that is leaving, and Connor Stroh announced his intentions. DJ Campbell and Cole Hudson. That's 2 guys who are going because they're out of eligibility. We'll see on Connor Robertson. Was very reminiscent after the A&M game, walked at senior day, does have a year. So if those 4, end up saying, 3 are automatically, or not automatically, got to get my words right. 3 are going, 1 could. Okay, there's 4 right there. Are you going to keep this whole offensive line room that you couldn't put together a great line during the course of the season with? I think there's going to be, and also the fact that, offensive linemen, it's not an individualistic position like wide receiver is. I think they kind of know, okay, I need a few others to come help me. And they're going to understand, they're going to want their money. Everybody is, but they're going to understand, okay, I'm coming here because there's an opportunity to play alongside, other possible players. I think the numbers problem isn't really one at all.
No. The numbers isn't an issue. It's only an issue when you're viewing Kyle Flood from a macro standpoint. That's really the only problem. There's going to be plenty of interior guys. There were interior guys last year they could have brought in and may have had a different year. But just real quick, I want to shift this to Hunter Bradford. I don't want to take it too much, but Hunter, in the last 5 games, I just looked up Ryan Wingo. The dude had almost over 400 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. I'm telling you, Ryan Wingo got better. If you didn't see the catch he made against Texas A&M, where Arch put a little too much ass on that ball and it almost sailed into the 3rd deck, and then Ryan somehow climbed the ladder and grabbed it. I'm not here to tell you he didn't completely fix the drops. I'm here to tell you Ryan Wingo got better the last month of the season. It was very obvious. And he became, a lot of it I thought was almost Emmett Mosley came into his own more and more. His targets increased. And so I think it actually took some stuff off of Ryan in a sense. But from an O-line's perspective, like you said, Joe, no, you can't get too many of those guys. Look at the D-line. Texas needed about 3 guys last year. They got 5. You're always going to throw more there than you probably need to. I think since they've never gone O-line in the portal before, we're going to see them really go O-line in the portal. And it begins at left guard, center, and right guard. The tackles are good and look locked in. It's going to be that interior. And those are, to me, easier to find than those outer guys.
We're going to learn a lot about Texas offensive line view just because we haven't seen them do this in the portal yet. It's
exactly.
This
is new. This is new for us and them.
It's going to be a learning experience for everybody. Before we keep going, got to show some love to Game Time. If you're looking for tickets, you can go to the Citrus Bowl, get to Orlando. I think you can get in even to the Cotton Bowl at a pretty good price. And if you have never used Game Time before, download the Game Time app, use gametime.co, use that promo code ON3, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And I think that means you could get about 4 tickets at the Cotton Bowl for not a whole lot. So if you're doing that, if you're doing NHL, NBA, hey, Texas basketball, SEC play starts soon. No matter what you're looking for, Game Time, you get to see the full all-in price, all fees and taxes included. You get to see the view from your seat, which is always a great tool to know what you're spending money on. And you get the best ticket buying experience. GameTime.co, Game Time app, promo code ON3, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I do want to get to.
Hey, you got a super chat here, but I think the most polite Dwayne has a really good point here on underestimating Sark's drive. We've been talking about this behind with our staff for probably over 2 weeks now. It's apparent. Sark is making all-in push for this. So I definitely agree. And I actually think he's right. Missing the playoffs lit a fire under Sark in this program, not just from a production standpoint and expectations, but from an accountability standpoint. This was still a really good team that just barely missed it. And so I think the most polite Dwayne has a really good point there. But we got another super chat, and I know you got some other stuff you want to hit too.
We'll do this. If we were to get Cam Coleman, does it affect Lockett or French staying? I think you would have to. I mean, you would have to ask Jamie French and Cody Lockett about that, because they're probably thinking, okay, you know, I have an opportunity this upcoming year to maybe earn some more playing time. And Coleman, no offense to them, probably going to go in front of those two in the pecking order. So,
yeah, it wouldn't help. We can say that, but we don't know. I know where French's mind is. I believe I know where Lockett's is. He wants to work and get better just like anybody else. But Cam Coleman coming in there would probably throw a little kink in the wrench.
And hey, I'm not saying aw shucks about it. I'm just saying there's still a market to it. And that is still a high end of the market number for college football. And of course, we only have about 3 years, 2-ish years, 3-ish years with the market. Yeah, that's fine. I agree with you. Texas is rich. It wishes it had a better NIL situation. It's not perfect, but it's still really, really strong and comparatively strong with other top programs. Not perfect, but still very, very strong. It is allowed and very often does throw its muscle around. You can still only lift so much, you know, and then you have to use the right places to get that muscle in the right
money
spot.
Is still money. It's still green. You still have to earn it. And the people that give it still want a return on investment. There's nothing aw shucks about $2 million. That's agent speak, if anything. And so
glad we got to this one.
We got some. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk running backs a little bit. Let's talk Hawkins and Ball a little bit. Go ahead.
What do you think about Hawkins from North Texas? So we obviously know Texas needs a couple running backs in the transfer portal. Everybody's kind of been very, what's the right way of putting this? Informed about Ball and how there are several schools, including Texas, who are interested in his name should he enter the transfer portal. Okay, that's one. That's your one hope at the running back position. You got other ones. And one of the ones that we saw reported earlier today, Pete Nakos over on 3 said that Caleb Hawkins from North Texas, great running back this year, has Oklahoma, Texas, and Oklahoma State involved in interest in him. And I think he's already announced that he is planning to enter the portal.
He announced like right after the game.
Yeah, so a lot of – and
all three of their running backs, mind you, North Texas starting 3 running backs all announced.
So this would be another – and also, Justin, like running backs in a very odd way these days want to know that they're going to get opportunity, but there's going to be someone there to help them maybe share the load so they're not lost all their tread by the time they get to where they want to professionally. And if you are able to get a running back 1, you don't want a running back 2. You want a running back 1B. And Texas is doing their interest in, or is making it known, at least according to Nakos, that Hawkins is a player they're interested in.
Absolutely. And Caleb had a fantastic freshman year. I mean, you got to give Eric Morris and those guys a ton of credit. I love that. You want a running back 1B. I love that, Joe. And I don't know if Hawkins is in that category yet. But then again, I think if you put him in a system at Texas and an offense like that, and maybe he does become that. We do know Jaden Ball is a running back 1. And what we reported this morning kind of still holds true. We're waiting that one out, essentially. Texas has some confidence. And what we understand from reporting this morning, Florida doesn't have as much confidence. They're actually trying to figure out they're asking more questions than they probably need to. Like they're doing a lot of diligence behind the scenes with that. We know Summerall has already met with him and wants to keep him in the fold. But at the end of the day, I think Jaden Ball in Texas makes a lot of sense. But guys, we got to get to that part. We got to get to the finish line of that. We got to get to January 2nd because Texas isn't going to be the only school throwing some offers at Jaden Ball. I think Georgia, I think Ohio State, I think there's a couple others that might get in the mix. But if he does hit the portal, I think Texas lines up for that. With Cam Coleman, brother, There's just, Santa Claus came and went. Now, if this was a week ago, that'd be on the top of my Santa list. But man, he ain't coming back around for another year. And so right now, just temper your expectations with Cam. That is going to be a high bidding auction. And let's just see where everything goes. Let's see where that goes. Right now, they need to nail down running back 1 and running back 1, 2. I like Ball at 1. Hawkins would be a great 2. But again, they're going to have their eyes on 4 or 5 other guys. There's going to be this might change within the next few hours, knowing how the portal rotates.
And Josh Manning, I'll get to your super chat. We'll actually end with that probably. But something I wrote on Sunday, and it's a little vague, but I think you kind of have to be vague. And there's some questions about SEC running back rooms about here. Like, there's going to be a lot of different movement. I feel like not only with Lane switching from Ole Miss to LSU, but with Frank Wilson switching from LSU to Ole Miss, with Ole Miss bringing in LSU, or LSU bringing in Ole Miss's running backs coach. A lot of different things. LSU needs about 5 O linemen because they basically said y'all couldn't protect Garrett Nussmeier, so y'all can all go. That's going to be a big factor in the portal. Okay, those guys don't just pass block; they run block too. How's that going to work? There's so many different things going on with all the different, just the carousel, the relationships position coaches have with their room. Relationships in general, monetary relationships, to where I think running back recruiting in the SEC and the portal is going to be very, very intriguing because so many teams have needs. Like Ole Miss, are they going to keep Lacey? Who is going to stay on that roster? Oklahoma is going to need some running backs.
Someone wants to be next year's Missouri. Someone wants to be next year's Missouri. Who's going to find the next Ahmad Hardy? Who's going to find that guy that comes in and can make a difference in your team and in your offense? I think everyone's looking for that. Someone mentioned Harlem Brown. Man, I saw Harlem Brown as a sophomore. That's one of the best running back talents I've ever seen in my life. I would love that. But he's a New Orleans kid. He's an LSU kid. I don't think he's going anywhere, regardless if he's related or not. Caden Durham's a name we're reading right here. Hey, Caden Durham was one of the fastest guys on the planet coming out of high school. And he's a guy that I think could use a fresh start. That offensive line, like you said, didn't help Nussmeier. It didn't help those 2 tailbacks either. Lane Kiffin's still going to try to keep some of those guys in the mix too. Just understand this is the definition of fluidity. This thing is ever changing, ever moving. And honestly, January 2nd is when we'll be able to actually verbally say a lot of what we've been hearing and what we know, because tampering is still a thing. I know fans say, it's not real. And I know many college people don't treat it like it's real. They reach out to these Texas kids on a regular basis. Texas tries so hard to not do that. And so we're gonna follow the same rule, the same pattern. Give it a few days, and again, in like 2 days, Joe, it's probably going to change again. Wait till after this next series of bowl games.
Yeah,
you're going to see guys. Wait till the next group of playoff teams are knocked out. You're going to see a rush of guys. It's going to be ever changing, and that's why you just have to go to InsideTexas.com every day and just press that refresh, because it does change every day.
We'll finish with Joshy Manning super chat, but I want to get this out of the way first. Join Inside Texas. Go to that first link in our description, or you can use that QR code right there at the top left of the screen. 50% off annual subscriptions. All the best Texas Longhorns insight. We even have stuff on a bunch of different sports today, so go check that out.
Hey, and threw one more name out there, Joe. The name that's been mentioned 2,000 times at InsideTexas.com. Big fan of Cam Cook. Just don't see it with Texas right now.
One more thing to get to, Joshy Manning, the super chat. When Sark said the NCAA doesn't have teeth, I think we were given a preview of Sark's mentality. What was it? The Nick Saban had that, is this what we want football to become? And then he hires Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian and Brian Daboll and Mike Locksley and Bill O'Brien. So he did have a little bit of hearing.
Is there a more hypocritical coach in the history of college football than Nick Saban?
No, I disagree. I think he just said, okay, if you want to do all this hurry up spread, that Ole Miss has used to beat me back-to-back years. I'm going to do it with Alabama talent. And then I do think that there is a little bit of that. I think what Sark was really complaining about was like, and I saw this the other day, the schools reach out to agents have clients, gather interest, all that. That's what all these coaches call tampering. Oh, you're tampering. Technically, it's not tampering. Real tampering is when like a coach calls another player on another roster. Can't do that.
And that happens every single day. It's happened 400 times during this 30-minute show.
And then, so you think of that. What I think Sark's talking about is, okay, you've got all this going on, and then you see the NCAA just let it happen, because they have to, because if they try to stop it, they're going to slap down in court again. And then they like come down hard on the Division III runner who like had to self fund his tuition just because it's the NCAA. Like I think he's seeing, yes, there's no framework. There's no like one set of rules everybody abides by. All different state laws are what they are. And I think it's a good way to think about how he is approaching this portal cycle, just because I do think there was a little bit of last season when, I do think that what Stark said about I haven't had time to go through and really, really dive in to program inefficiencies and stuff like that. There's some truth to that. If you're at Texas, you should have the ability to have somebody help you do that, even if you're preparing for a game against Clemson. And I know they're obviously he welcomed a child. That takes up a lot of your time as well. So I think maybe things look a little bit different for Sark this year, that he has a different amount of time and a different capability to view things. And I think he's also got the resources to try to make it happen this year. So, and then last but not least, Justin, is Texas getting Cam Coleman?
Sweet and low father. Or Splenda father. He's going to be Splenda father today. Are we getting Cam Coleman? If I was the general manager, yes. But I'm not the general manager. So I can't answer that question just yet. Splenda father, stay tuned. I promise. Check your DMs. Check the secret email. We'll keep you posted, brother.
Hey, we'll keep everybody posted. Head to Inside Texas. Stay tuned here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.